Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We're continuing down the road of some of my wipeout material I like to share with my students. So for this video, we're going to go over module 1.3, which is a module on specifically Six Sigma. So what is Six Sigma? So one of my favorite quotes is "A bad process will beat a good person every time" by Edward Deming. Just one of my favorite quotes. And this is always true that a bad process will be a good person every time, meaning that we can't blame the people that are in the process. We can blame the process itself. So Six Sigma is a discipline data-driven approach to process improvement. We were looking to eliminate those defects, reductions, and variation of the process. And through that, we also gain breakthrough knowledge, the use of process knowledge and data, right? So and here we're trying to affect the company's bottom line with some tangible business results and cost savings. So basically what we're looking at is we're trying to figure out where are the improvement opportunities so we're looking what are inputs into the process. We're trying to figure out those inputs in the process itself. What are those improvement opportunities that will affect our outputs? So let's talk a little history. So Six Sigma history started in 1984 at Motorola. I know some people like to go back a little bit further, but I like to start here because this is one of I think it's just a great way to understand the discipline of Six Sigma itself. So basically here, Bob Galvin and Bill Smith had developed that methodology and created the objectives of around Six Sigma. And then in 1985, Dr. Michael Henry actually created the MAIC part. So if we think about the MAIC, right? He created the MAIC Six Sigma approach to achieve high levels of quality, right? Using an approach for problem solving. And then in 1995, Jack Welch brought it to General Electric. What it does is now this is where they started to add the define part of that DMAIC process. And then other companies start to model their Six Sigma after GE. And then there were also design for Six Sigma was introduced. And then now we move into from 1997 to present, where we start to combine, because I already did the lean modules, right? So we're combining lean and Six Sigma together, and it is used worldwide. I know a lot of people like to debate lean versus Six Sigma or lean Six Sigma, but here I like to take a toolbox approach. And I've done this for the last 16 years. And so I first learned Six Sigma, then lean when I was at AT&T, and then from then on, I've always used it together because I like to think of it as a toolbox approach. So we have some different meanings of Six Sigma, right? So we just bring these all up. There's so many different, I'm sorry about that. So many different meanings we can think about. But Six Sigma, or Sigma, is a Greek symbol, right? What that really is a measure of deviation. And if you take one of my other classes, we'll get more into statistics and deviation and variations in the process. But basically, it's the sigma level measures of how the process is performing by using statistics, right? What is the variation process, and what are the customers truly feeling? So using a data approach to kind of help us with problem solving and get to those true root causes, right? So Six Sigma helps to deploy strategy to reduce costs and increase revenue. But we also use benchmarking, and then, of course, use a top-down leadership approach to improving that business. There's some different values with Six Sigma. So we think, like I said, Sigmas is any variations from the deviation. So it vets the variation in the process. We have a sigma level that ranges from 1 to 6, and that refers to the standard deviation from the mean or the average of what that process is. And we use it to measure as close as we can to the specification limits that are set by the customer, right? So I'm going to say here, remember, anything from lean or a Six Sigma approach, we're looking at things from a customer perspective. A lot of times the companies think internally with their metrics, but when I come in and help my clients, and when I'm teaching my students, I want them to take a different approach with metrics and KPIs to look at it from a customer perspective. Then we also start to look at defects per million opportunities, or DPMO. So basically, as our defects go down, so I want you to remember this, as our defects go down, our sigma level rises. So if we start out with the one sigma, you can see we have a 69% defect rate. And as we start to go up, right, at 4 sigma, you only have a 0.62% defect rate. That's a big difference, right? It's from 69 to 0.6. And then 5, and then we have a 6 sigma level. So a 6 sigma level is a 3.4, or what we call DPMO, 0% defect rate. In the long time that I've been doing Lean Six Sigma, I have never seen a process at a 0 defect rate, and that even includes when we're doing things with automation or technology. There's always going to be some fallouts out of that process, which we call exceptions in different parts in different industries. But what we try to is we try to get as close to a 0 defect rate as we possibly can. So I like to think about Six Sigma business goals, right? So we look at customer requirements for business goals that lead to what we're trying to do is reduce the variation to where we get to the business goals, where we try to increase that operational efficiency, increase throughput, cost savings, increased revenue, and less customer churn, when we also have increased profit margins. So let's talk about the different roles in Six Sigma. So I'm combining, instead of just saying Six Sigma roles, I'm calling this Lean Six Sigma roles because I think if you truly want to embrace some of this stuff, I like to look at these roles at different ways. So Master Black Belt is the very, very, very top of the Six Sigma belt system. And so, like I said, we're using Lean Six Sigma here. This person, so this is that's what I'm a Master Black Belt. I've been a Master Black Belt for many years now, but they're well versed in Lean Six Sigma. They know how to use those advanced statistics, but they also mentor Black Belts and Green Belts, and they also teach Lean Six Sigma. One of the certain things that you do when you become a Master Black Belt, or if you're Master Black Belt in training, you do have to be able to teach Lean Six Sigma. That's, I think, one of the best ways to think about this when you become an expert in this field is that you're able to teach it. And of course coach people. Next down is the black belt. So these are experts in Lean Six Sigma. They actually work on full-time Lean Six Sigma projects. But in addition, they're, like I said, experts in Lean Six Sigma, but they lead large financial impactful projects. So I want you to remember that they lead larger impactful projects. Now we start to think about green belts. Green belts or just, a level down, but they work under the direction of a BP or a Master Black Belt. So they also will participate in Black Belt projects, but they lead smaller scale Lean Six Sigma projects usually within their functional areas, right? So Black Belts Black Belts and Master Black Belts work all over an organization, whereas a Green Belt, you would be working within your area. Next, we have a yellow belt. So this is where basically a yellow belt, think of it as a basics of Lean Six Sigma. This is where you use Lean Six Sigma in your work area. So you may not necessarily be running a project, but you understand the basic concepts of Lean Six Sigma and you apply it to your daily work. And you may also participate in Lean Six Sigma projects. And then, of course, we have white belt. White belt is that entry level, right? They understand the basics of Lean Six Sigma and they participate in those Lean Six Sigma projects. Whenever I'm going in and working with clients, I actually do teach a little, as I'm going through the DMAIC cycle with my clients, I am teaching them white belt and some yellow belt tools so that they can actually apply it to their day-to-day work jobs. So what are the different roles? So in Lean Six Sigma, we have different roles. We have executive leadership, right? They provide the vision and strategy and sponsorship if needed within a Lean Six Sigma organization. Next, then you have champions. These are the sponsors of the project or program, and they're great. You rely on them to remove those organizational barriers if you run into them. And then you always have a process owner. There's always a process owner. They own the process. They ensure the changes take place, and they control the process. And this is where, when I'm working with clients, I make sure we have all three of these. And I want to make sure that the process owner knows how to use the control charts, knows how to use the data to make informed decisions. Let's talk a little bit about certification. I get asked this question a lot. From a Lean Six Sigma certification perspective, you have to determine the right level for you. And so you have to complete all the required courses for that belt level. Usually you have to take some type of required examination and then apply the tools through a project or participate in a project using the tools. So if you're going for your green belt or black belt certification, you will have to take all the required coursework, take an examination, and then be able to apply the tools into our project. For a yellow belt and white belt, for that one, especially if you come to one of my classes at the Anatomy, for white belt and yellow belt, you just go through the course. It's usually, there are some hands-on work that we do, but here you don't have to complete a project for a white belt or yellow belt. You just got to take an examination. So depending on the certification and belt level, so if you're a green belt or a black belt, so for a green belt, you usually have to do one project. For a green belt, for a black belt, depending on your organization or who you get training through. But with me, I usually have you do green belt training first, so you'll complete a project there, and then do black belt, and then training there and do your project. You can do one bigger project through your green belt and black belt. The one thing I'm going to tell you to determine the right level for you, there's no right or wrong answer here. A lot of people want to jump straight into black belt, but I've found that by doing that, that's not the best use of your time or your education. I usually say start with a white belt, then a yellow belt, right? See if you like it first, because some people like it, but they don't really love it. So if you like it, but don't think you just want to add a little bit higher certification, then just go for the green belt. If you really love the concept of Lean Six Sigma, then I will encourage you to do your black belt. But it's really up to you and what your business and what your career and business goals are. All right. So thank you for attending my class for my video today. If you'd like to learn more about Lean Anatomy, please check the link below. And I look forward to sharing more videos with you very, very soon.